So I wanted to talk about international politics because we can get so caught up in what's happening in the United States, but it's very important to know that internationally, of course, we know Italy is struggling immensely. Poorer nations that don't have resources, although the United States is the richest country on earth, we just don't have a universal healthcare system that's exacerbating it, that they're going to be hit hard as well. But nations with authoritarian leaders, it's also important to point out the ramifications of this and the fact that Naomi Klein talks about disaster capitalism, where capitalists take advantage of disaster situations to make sure that their power is cemented, further exacerbate inequality, make money, etc. But there's also disaster leaders, right? So people with authoritarian tendencies who are going to take advantage of the coronavirus outbreak to cement their own power, like Hungarian President Viktor Orban. So I'll read a little about what's happening in Hungary, and then we can discuss. Hungary's parliament handed Prime Minister Viktor Orban the right to rule by decree indefinitely, effectively putting the European Union democracy under his sole command for as long as he sees fit. Hungary's ruling party lawmakers overrode the objections of the opposition in a vote on Monday, handing Orban the right to bypass the assembly on any law. So, any law he can choose to be null and void and just do what he sees fit. So that's not a democracy. The Constitutional Court, which Orban has stacked with loyalists, will be the main body capable of reviewing government action. So it's no longer the parliament, it's the Constitutional Court, and he's, put people who are his lackeys in the Constitutional Court. The emergency rule law poses no threat to democracy, Orban told lawmakers after the vote. His detractors didn't agree, obviously, because he's basically using the coronavirus outbreak to cement power for himself, buttressed by the Constitutional Court, which shouldn't have the authority that it does, but it's gradually increased in power under his reign. So, I don't know of any other democracy where the government has effectively asked for a free hand to do anything for however long, says Renata Oltz, the director of Comparative Constitutional Law Program at the Central European University in Budapest. So in the past, Orban has basically used supermajorities in parliament to do away with the checks and balances in the Constitution. He is an ally of Trump's. He, as I recall, has tried to wipe away a lot of the history of World War II in the history books and in the texts and in the national museums and monuments to make the right wing seem more appealing to the Hungarian people. He has an immensely large propaganda machine that has disseminated lots of pro-right-wing misinformation in Hungary, and it's a really terrifying prospect because this is Europe. They have, obviously, a long history with authoritarianism, specifically the one I just mentioned that happened in World War II. And when we saw what birthed World War II, right, which was an economic downturn after World War I, which gave rise to an authoritarian leader. Now we're seeing in Hungary an authoritarian leader using this opportunity, this economic downturn, this pandemic, to cement his own power and stifle dissent. And this is just another step in that process, and an even scarier step in that process. So let's look outward, not just in the United States. There are incredibly scary things happening internationally as well, and this is yet another one of them.